I will.
Then I'll upload on my YouTube channel. Okay then.
All right. We're gonna- Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the second time I have the honor. I am Kinga Vajda. My company is Execute Your Intentions. Second time I have the honor of having a very special guest, Professor Rao. Welcome. I am so excited to have you for the second time. Thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, I'm also very much excited, and thank you for giving me this wonderful opportunity. So I appreciate your passion to make a difference, and I appreciate your passion to impact. So together
Well,
we will impact. Together we
yes.
will impact.
Absolutely. Yes. And I have the chat going on the side here. So we'll keep an eye out because have so many friends that have been generating interest around you now
Yeah,
that we're getting to know you better because I'm a very curious person.
yeah,
And once I get to know somebody, I just want to know a little bit more and then a little bit more and then more and more. And you're just a fascinating person. And of course, the story just continues to unfold, you know? So last week when we met, I brought up this slide and we were like, who is this gentleman, you know, that had this book and you know, here we've had See the Light in You, and if you didn't get this book, everybody please go get this one, and
yeah,
it's filled with these
yeah, yeah.
wonderful inspirational quotes, right? But we didn't get into all these other things that we want to talk about, and of course I'm always screaming because everybody knows I'm very
Oh, you
passionate.
you
I went and
purchased
got this
that.
one. Oh yeah, I'm reading this one. This one's next that we're going to talk about sometime. Not today, not today. But today this one, which is chock full of
Oh, one more third book.
uh,
That is soft
yes,
leadership.
soft leadership, which is today's conversation.
Yeah, nice.
And so, oh my gosh, there's just so much here to start to unpack that I want to get into, and I'm so glad that you know we get into this, but there's a couple elements that I've noticed. And you know, I started a book writing journey, and one thing that I learned during that process was there's a good formula to
Yeah,
writing a book.
yeah,
And 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 I can see this pattern that you have. You have quotes,
mm,
you have an amazing foreword that you
yeah,
have written by somebody, you
yeah,
dedicate your books,
yeah, mm,
and they're very special dedications, they're very special forewords, they're
yeah, yeah.
very intentional set of quotes. They're
Mm,
very, and then you have very actionable, thoughtful, inspiring, chapters,
yeah.
and they're chock full of references.
Oh,
You're everything, just tons of references.
uh,
So I can tell that there's a lot of work. And I was watching an interview that you had, I think just a couple days ago, and you said a quote. I just loved it, where it was, and maybe you can help me. I don't know if it's one you say often, something about sharpening the pencil,
yeah,
and the mind doesn't have to. Do you remember what it was that you take a lot of notes so that you don't
yeah,
have to remember it? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. What I say,
So tell us about your philosophy around it.
a, a short pencil is better than a long memory.
That's right.
A short pencil is better than a long memory. So I have lots of quotes. I create lots of. I'm very as you said, you are very curious. I am also curious, and I am also creative. These are all two aspects that resonates you and me, and because of
Mhm,
that, we both are connected.
mhm.
I think we are connected. I think we know much long ago, but we were not very active on LinkedIn. I think for the last 2 months we have been more active, and later on I came to know that we both are LinkedIn addicts.
Yeah. 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 And maybe it's something we dial back because we get to know each other more as friends and we can have
Yeah,
these good connected conversations. And I'm so excited because I have a lot of my good friends here that are
yeah.
chiming in on here. We have Ollie and Aaron and Melissa and Jesse. You met Jesse.
Yeah,
Now you have a good
I met
connection
him.
with
He's
him.
from I think he's from New York. I think yeah, he's from
Yes.
yesterday night I
Yes.
spoke with him. Yeah, I enjoyed.
Yes, and he's been making videos for us, which was special for me, Brenda Lee's, and so I'm so excited because you'll get to know a lot of my friends. They're just very caring people. So when you write your books, and I start looking at this, and by the way, you mentioned that you have all these books available on Amazon,
Yeah.
and and I'm a little. I do my homework. Oh, good. Jenny Gold just joined us as well. I do my homework and I start looking and I'm like, okay, well, I want to start finding all these books. There's more on here. Oh, good. Olu's here too. And I'm like, I can't find all of your books, by the way. Some of them are sold out. They're difficult to find. You have forwards even from Goldsmith. Like
Yes.
you are all over. So there's a lot of hidden gems I know that we have not even started to scratch the surface. But today, let's focus on soft leadership, a new direction of leadership. And you wrote this book. What year was this written in?
Okay, I'll let me share with you. This Marshall Goldsmith is my friend, and
Yeah.
he has written a foreword for my book some 15 years ago. Then he has written a foreword for my son's book also.
Are you?
So, so let me share with you. So he's very nice person, very humble,
Yeah.
and I have his personal number,
Oh
and
my gosh.
I talk with him regularly, and my connections are very big. Usually, I don't disclose my identity and my connections, and
Hmm.
every year I talk to Marshall Goldsmith,
Wow.
and I know his team, and
Hmm.
so many things I know. So I'm
Yeah.
very happy that, and I'm very happy to share with you that Marshall Goldsmith has written endorsements for most of my books.
Wow.
Right. So this is the story of Marshall Goldsmith and my association, and I met Marshall Goldsmith in Hyderabad in India with my two sons.
Oh my gosh.
If
That's
we can,
amazing.
yeah,
And
physically we met. Physically we met. I think in the year 2013. I think 13 or in the year 2013.
yeah.
Marshall, I and my two sons met in Hyderabad in India in the year 2012, right?
Wow.
We had
Yeah.
a physical connection
Yeah.
and a telephonic conversation and email conversation. So you can imagine the kind of connections I am having. So this
Yeah.
is briefly about Marshall Goldsmith. Now let me move on to the topic of soft leadership, right?
Right. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I do think that a lot of this curiosity and the things that we end up aligning around, it brings people together because I noticed in here, and we're going to get to this, is you have Dave Ulrich, and that was a leader that I
Yeah.
started following about a year ago because
Uh,
so when I came across that name, I was like, that's somebody I've been following. So okay, so let's get into it because
let me
there's
share
way too
with you one
many.
more thing. Sorry for the interruption. Let me share with you about Dale Ulrich. He is my good friend. I think
Of course, he is.
around the first book I published was on soft leadership,
Uh-huh.
and Dale Ulrich has written a foreword somewhere. I think 12, 13
Okay.
years back. He wrote a foreword on
All right.
soft leadership, and he was so kind that he has created a leadership code for soft leadership. And you must know one more fact is that he's my very good friend. I know his wife, and I have dedicated one of the books to Dale Ulrich and his family.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So all these people that I'm seeking out because these are the kind of philosophies and the things that, what leads, and I think we've talked about this, like the things we're naturally led to, right? The places that we're drawn to because we're seeking answers, we're seeking what is it when we want to solve a problem or something that we're interested in, where do we naturally go? And so here we are with each other. And so just jump right in here.
Mm.
And so starting with quotes,
No.
because I'm going to go into the order that you have
Yeah.
laid out within your books. Do you have a favorite quote? Because well, and we're going to get into the Peter Drucker and why you dedicated this, but I'd like to start first with the quotes that you have here. You have a lot of Peter Drucker quotes, but
Yeah. Yeah.
was there a favorite one that resonates for you, that you have in this book?
So, see, lots of quotes are there. It's about lifting the heights.
Mm-hmm.
Then about he talks various aspects about MBO, that management by objectives. It was coined by Peter Drucker, and
Mm-hmm.
I published an article on Thinkers 50,
Yes.
where I mentioned about the relevance of Peter Drucker
Yes.
too. And somewhere in the year uh, uh, 1990, right? And I started liking Peter Drucker because when I joined for MBA, 1990, so then I started reading about Peter Drucker. So I was very much influenced and
Yeah.
his ideas and ideologies. So then I started reading about Peter Drucker, but I didn't know that I would dedicate a book to Peter Drucker. Okay, that's a different story. So now let me briefly about this soft leadership. Soft leadership, a new direction to leadership, is a book, and I published 10 books on soft skills and soft leadership.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the books titled "Soft Leadership: A New Direction to Leadership," which you are holding on your hands. This book is unique in four aspects. First aspect is that this I have dedicated to Peter Drucker, who is known as the father of modern management. That's the
Right.
one uniqueness. Second unique is that the father of modern marketing, Philip Kotler, has written a foreword for this book. He is known all over the world in management. I mean, in marketing. Two. Third is the father of modern HR, Dave Ulrich, has created 11. He has created a leadership code,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the third aspect. This
Mm-hmm.
Dave Ulrich is known as the father of modern HR. So these are all the three unique aspects. And the fourth aspect is that I am known as the father of soft leadership globally
Right.
because of my contribution in the area of soft leadership, and I have added a lot of value for it. And also I published several research papers about soft leadership,
Mm-hmm.
and I published 53 books, and I published 300 research papers, and I published more than 1,000 articles
Right.
about leadership management. So these are all the things I did it. So because of these four aspects, the soft leadership new direction is very close to my heart. Of course, I write books in different areas, like in different genre, like mindfulness, leadership, then again education, learning. Uh, Diversity. So like there's so many books I started writing. So now the current book which you are holding, we are going to discuss about soft leadership.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm going to, because you had specific ones in here that were very relevant to Peter Drucker's work, right? And I love that because the article that you sent me, the relevance of Peter Drucker's management philosophy in today's world, right?
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
was heavily focused on the knowledge worker.
Yeah.
And so I'd love to talk about that, but that was kind of closer towards the end of the book where you kind of wrap that up about thought leadership. And because today I think there's so much talk about thought leadership and kind of coaches and trainers and
Yeah.
educators and all that. So I feel like this is going to be a good segue towards the end of the conversation because it's towards the end of your book.
Uh,
Um, but I love, there was a quote that kind of really stuck out for me personally. Work is an extension of personality. It's
Yeah.
an achievement, and it's one of the ways in which a person measures his or her worth and humanity. And that was a Peter Drucker quote. And I think about today how there's so much speak of like this work life balance and our purpose and our why. What is our why, right? And I know personally for me that resonates because I'm a very passionate person around
Yeah.
what I do,
Yeah.
and I don't separate because
Yeah.
it is about the caring, it is about wanting to make that difference. And I think that it's so relevant to what's happening in the world. So even though you wrote this book several years ago, it actually feels like it applies more today than maybe when you wrote it. I don't know. Is that, do you feel that way? Do you feel like that this is something that is really um, do you see how today there's such a big need for people to kind of really think about these concepts and how we can start applying it? Because I want to get into the C's and things like that.
Oh, 11 C's. Yeah, okay. See, now let me talk briefly about Peter Drucker. And there are people who think that Peter Drucker is not relevant. I don't
Mm,
agree with that. Peter Drucker is relevant.
yeah.
Uh, uh, People might think that he's outdated, his philosophy doesn't work out, but he lives forever. If there is any Nobel Prize, it's for Peter Drucker. But there is no opportunity for an individual to give a Nobel Prize, right?
Hmm.
Like I can say, like it's an Peter Drucker means he is equal to it is equal to winning a Nobel Prize, and is equal to winning an Oscar of that kind. So it's more than that.
Hmm.
And people doubt sometimes that their philosophy is not relevant, but I endorse very clearly that this philosophy is very much relevant. Why? Because we focused various aspects about uh, uh, parallel parallel careers. That means we can do so many career things related to career. Then he talked about MBO, management by objectives. So like that, so many aspects he coined and created, and so because of that, is very much relevant.
Hmm.
Even if you Bruce, there is a person, Bruce. I forgot his full name. So he's working as Bruce Rosenstein. He's serving as the managing editor for Leader to Leader magazine. So he is also a fan of Peter Drucker, and he met Peter Drucker very long back, and he had conversation with him. But of course, I was not blessed to interact with Peter Drucker because he was already very old. So, in many aspects, his books, his ideas are relevant, and
Hmm.
they are timeless. So, the Peter Drucker is very much relevant to
Hmm.
the management. This is what I want to endorse. So, what the next question you asked? 11 C's. You asked the next question. We'll go step by
Yes.
step.
Yeah. So let's dive into those 11 C's that you have
Yeah.
defined. Yeah. Let's go ahead.
Okay, now let me talk about 11 C's. See, I started writing books initially. Then I didn't know anything about leadership. Then I started doing research. Then I created 11 E's. Yeah, 11 E's means like emotional intelligence, then eloquence, energy. So like that, various aspects I created a book in the name of 11 E's. That was the
Hmm.
one area that was a beginning in my
Hmm.
book writing. Then subsequently I started exploring from the perspective of leadership, then again soft leadership. Then I have created 11 C's and made a book on soft leadership. First
Hmm.
I started with a general book on leadership. Then I have gone to the next level, that is to explore from the perspective of soft leadership. Then I have created 11 C's,
Mhm.
like character, charisma, conscience, courage, conviction. So these are all the communication. These are all things I created and created a framework,
Did
right?
you get
Yeah, please go ahead.
did you get pushback? So you kind of went from you were one of the people I guess probably one of the first people that really started talking about emotional intelligence
Yeah,
in leadership. Is that
yeah.
when you started getting dubbed as the father of soft leadership? Was that when is that kind of what brought you in as or when was that kind of a turning point of recognition? You started writing a lot of papers around that emotional intelligence and was there kind of an emergence of testing around emotional intelligence and that kind of thing in leadership, or how did that evolve? And then was there a lot of pushback bringing that into the
Yeah,
workplace?
it's a great question. I started with a leadership, basic leadership. In that, I have mentioned 11 C's. Out
Yeah,
of the 11 E's, one of the E's is emotional intelligence, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's the point, because this emotional intelligence is very much required. And Daniel Goleman, I think he popularized emotional intelligence.
Hmm.
And there was a debate whether ladies were born or bred.
Right,
So
born or is skill or you're naturally
yeah,
born with
yeah,
it?
that's
Yes.
the point. I'm coming to the second level. So there was a question whether the ladies were born or made. Then again,
Hmm.
initially we thought that ladies were born; they can't be made as
Uh,
leaders.
okay.
But this Daniel Goleman, he published a book on emotional intelligence. I think in the year 1990 or so. So
Okay.
he popularized the emotional intelligence and emphasized, and he convinced that leadership in leaders are both born and made. It's blend of both. It's not that uh, there are some leaders they are born, there are some leaders they are made, right? So
Hmm.
that's what he said. It's a blend of both inherent qualities. That's talent. I think you were talking about talent. Then
Yeah.
skills. Skills means that can be honed and improved. Talent means that we are already having. For example, I have the ability of talk, ability to communicate. That's my talent. But skill means something that can be developed. See, writing is something I don't know, but I developed, right?
Yeah.
It's a
You
skill.
develop it. Hmm.
Yeah, skills are developed. Talent is inborn, right? There is a difference between these two. Then
Right.
again, what Daniel Goleman said was, uh, leadership is a blend of both uh, bread and what they call both made, and some are made, some are grown. That's what he has concluded. So
Hmm.
this is what the research findings. This is
Right.
story of emotional intelligence. Then I went to the next level, because I just started writing about 11 E's. That was a basic book on leadership. Then I went to the next level, that is 11 C's
Okay.
on soft leadership. And that's how the journey with the soft leadership has gone, and why I had to uh, explore this soft leadership was that I earned my PhD in soft skills in
Hmm.
the year 2011, and
Hmm.
then and 2000, and I'm passionate about leadership. So I blended soft skills with leadership and created a new leadership perspective that is known as soft leadership, right? So
Hmm.
that is the journey with soft leadership. The soft leadership means what? Leading people with people skills without compromising the task orientation. That's one thing. This soft leadership is all about partnership. No, we don't have any, no more bosses, no more subordinates. We are
Hmm.
colleagues. We are partnering for achieving the goals, and we are partnering to achieve the desired goals and objectives. So the soft leadership means it is a partnership. That means we are all colleagues. There are no more superiors, no more subordinates. That's the thing. This is what I am doing research, and I am still exploring ways and means to do research. And I am also doing certain aspects. I am trying to integrate soft leadership with brain science. I want to integrate with employee engagement. I want to I want to connect with artificial intelligence, technology. So all these things I am trying to integrate so that I can discover something new and impact a world. This is the journey with soft leadership.
Do you think that like what problem does that really solve today, and what need does that fulfill, and are we ready for that as a society? Like, will people be open to it? Because ultimately that means a redistribution of a lot of power and wealth, right? And so how will we, like, what purpose does it really fill?
Yeah, definitely it will do the it will solve the purpose and it will help and impact. And usually people think soft leadership means people are soft. It's not exactly in that way. Soft leadership means leading people with soft skills without compromising the task orientation. See, anything, any leadership ultimately is that we have to achieve the desired goals and objectives.
Right.
But how we achieve the goals, that matters. Here, what we have to do is we have to adapt the means and methods so that we can accomplish our goals and objectives. If you look at Mahatma Gandhi, he was a soft leader, uh, but he never compromised for India's independence. He was very strict, and he finally succeeded, and India has got independence. This one thing. Then again, if you look at Martin Luther King, so he was also a soft leader, and he fought against discrimination in American society, and he won a Nobel Prize. Then again, he never compromised with the principles, and finally he succeeded. And so this is how things have happened. And then again, if you take the case of Nelson Mandela, he was jailed for 27 to 28 years. He was in the jail,
Okay.
but he never didn't. He never compromised with his principles and ideologies, and he was very strict. But finally, we abolished the segregation in South Africa. Right now, all citizens are equal in South Africa. So, what I would like to say is that we have to adapt soft leadership in a way that we can achieve our goals and objectives. It's a kind of a win-win situation. It's a kind of assertive situation, and it's not through violence. It is through peace, and it's by through persuasion and through win-win situation we have to create. So when we do so, we will be able to achieve our goals. So that's the reason why I am trying to emphasize more about soft leadership, and still a lot of research is going on.
Mhm. So how do we come up with these kind of common goals, right? Like, it, it sounds to me very like there needs to be something common. There needs to be something that we all that drives us.
Yeah.
And how do we choose what that is?
Mm.
Is there an answer to that?
Yeah. Yeah, it's very challenging, but I think I have already shared some of the aspects. Like we have to
Yeah.
persuade the people, and we have to persist, and we have to resolve the pressing challenges, and
Hmm.
through persistence, and so that we can achieve a win-win situation, and we can achieve our goals and objectives. So
Hmm.
this is the process which is a long drawn process, and it keeps going. So we need to explore and experiment, and we sometimes we fail, but then again we have to if we fail, then again we have to remove the bottlenecks, we have to remove the misalignments, then we have to align the things, then again we have to see that the things are moving in the right direction,
Yeah.
so that we can achieve our goals, whatever it is, whether it's for organizations or for the countries. So now countries are also having challenges, because X country fights with Y. So like that, lots of challenges are there across the world. So what we have to do is we have to persuade the people, and we have to not only persist, we not only persuade, we have to persist, and so that we can get the desired outcomes. But it's easier said than done. But
Yeah.
we have to keep persisting, right? Because
That's
you can't get solutions overnight. It takes time.
mm,
You need to have patience, and
yes.
you should be persistent. You should have patience, right? So
Yeah.
this is a process. It keeps going.
Yes. I like how you say persistence and patience over resilience. I think that we're saying resilience a lot, but and that's okay. But I hear it a lot, and it kind of feels painful, and it just sounds like something that people are exhausted a lot. And here your message is a little bit more around hope towards a new goal, hope towards an opportunity,
Yeah.
right? And
Mhm.
so here we talk about, okay, so the C's,
Uh,
as a reminder, we have character,
yeah.
right? And so what are some of the words that you have? Because in my own mind, I have a list of things that define character, but let's talk about what are some applicable things today that might define character. What are some things that define character?
See, character is very precious. So whenever I wrote 11 C's I have created. First I prepared it, around some 20-25 qualities. Out of that 20-25 qualities, I shortlisted. Then again, finally, I boiled down to 12 C's. So you
Mm-hmm.
can, it was, I distilled everything, and finally I coined 11 C's, because
Yep.
these are all the 11 C's that resonates soft leadership. Then
Yep.
again, in 11 C's, first importance I have given to character. First
Mm-hmm.
point, because it starts with character. Then
Mm-hmm.
comes charisma. There are people that they have charisma, but if they don't have character, it doesn't make any sense. So what
Right.
we have to do is we have to emphasize character first. Then we can emphasize various other C's, like conviction. Yes, we have conviction. Then we have charisma. Charisma means ability to influence people. Then again, conscience, communication. We must know how to communicate with others. Courage. We should be courageous, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these are all
Mm-hmm.
the things. So when we talk about character, so character is everything in this world,
Mm-hmm.
right? Money comes and money goes. That's different.
Yeah.
But character is one thing that we have to stick to it, right? That's one thing. And
Mm-hmm.
we need to emphasize on right personality, right attitude, and uh, personality, attitude, and behavior. These three qualities are ingrained in character: personality, attitude, and behavior. These three things are involved. This reflects the person's character,
Mm-hmm.
right? So personality, what is your personality? Then attitude, what kind of attitude you are having, whether you have positive attitude or negative attitude. Then third is behavior. So
Mm-hmm.
these things are integrated, and they are all part and parcel of character. We have to emphasize on character, and it's not easy. See, you can know the character of the person only when he loses.
Yes.
When everybody is successful, everybody will take credit.
Yes.
But
Yes.
the real character is known only when you lose in your life. You means in the people, I mean. The real character of the individual is known only when you lose everything. Where you
Yeah.
stand in the in times of character, where do you stand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it matters. So we have to emphasize on character. Character is everything. Without character, there is nothing. And secondly, there are two things I emphasize in my books and for my students. We should emphasize on character and education. These both are very much required. And
Mm.
when you have character and when you have good education, you can conquer the world. Let me repeat this sentence. When you have good character and good education, you can conquer the world. You can win the world. So precisely, we should emphasize on character education.
Uh-oh. Was that me that got lost?
Uh,
I think I did that to you last time. I don't know if it's you that gets lost or me, but I think it's me. But you carry the show just fine. So, so you were
uh,
talking about character.
yeah, yeah, because we are
Like,
talking, we are, see, when we take up something, we have to work on it and we have to justify, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's the thing. So you have taken up one word, that is C, that
Hmm.
is character. That's very big. It's a very. It looks very easy. The word
Yeah,
one word is character is very easy, but it's not easy. It
yeah,
makes and breaks. It can make. It can break anything
right.
in this world.
And a lot of people think that, I mean, nobody thinks that they have bad character, right? Like
Uh,
everybody, I don't think most
uh,
people
uh,
like they assume that they have good character. I don't think that most people move about life assuming that they don't have good character. And so how what is your recommendation for somebody to kind of take an inventory check on themselves? What would be some tips about how to take an assessment if you wanted to kind of do a quick gut check of like, am I living really living within the integrity that I think that I am? Do you have any kind of just advice for those of us that are living in a very the world is just changing so fast, and I
yeah.
think that we're all just trying to keep up, and then every once in a while we'll go, oh gosh, did I was I acting the way that I wanted to? Did I, and so to kind of keep ourselves in check.
So it's a very challenging question, and it's very difficult to respond to your question. But so keeping the character aside, the world is changing very fast, and
Mhm.
we have to embrace failures. We have to embrace challenges. The only thing constant in this world is change. So we have to change. Other will be left out in the race. So we have to emphasize. What is that called, character building, and we have to emphasize we have to be mindful and we have to be ethical and we have to lead from the front. These are all certain things. And let me add one more thing. No leader is entirely good and no leader is entirely bad. Every leader has uh, merits and every leader has some demerits. In the sense, every leader has strengths and every leader has weaknesses. I
Mhm.
have my own flaws. You have your own flaws. It's quite natural to have flaws. So we are vulnerable, right? We have to embrace vulnerability, and whatever the mistakes we do, and we have to accept and we have to move on. And
Mhm.
as I said, there is no uh, correct person and there is no correct leader in this world. Every leader has challenges, and but we have to take the best from the lot.
Yeah. Yeah, and it makes us more human, right? When we can just admit, well, this is where I am right now. So I think I was talking about that a few weeks ago with a friend on one of the shows where it was like sometimes we also kind of fall, right? Depending on where we're at and circumstances or a
Yeah.
trauma that happens or whatever, right? And being vulnerable in that space sometimes, is okay. And that shows leadership in itself. So, so you have character, we have charisma, conscience,
Let me add one more thing. Vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness.
right?
People think that if somebody is vulnerable means he is very weak. It's not in that way. Vulnerability is strength. We have to take it in a positive spirit. Yeah.
Right.
Let us move to the next question.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I agree with you. And then courage. When I hear that word so often, I think people assume it means like speaking up or whatever, but I think also it can mean taking risks,
Yeah.
and putting our neck on the line, trying new things. Um, how did you intend for us to take that? What are some of the risks that, or what does courage mean um, in this context for you?
Okay, now let me. We finished character, so now we'll focus on courage. So courage is the thing which is required. Without that, we can't survive. We have to be courageous. Courageous means what? We have to stick to our. We have to stick to ethics and etiquette. It's not courage doesn't mean physically fighting with someone or something. Courage to lead from the front, and courage to lead from the front. Uh, Courage to walk your talk. So these are all the aspects. So you should be very courageous. When you look at Mahatma Gandhi, uh, he was not tall. He was an average in height. He was a very lean person, but he was courageous. Why he was courageous? Because he stood by his values. He led from the front,
Mhm.
right? Whatever he preached, he practiced. So you
Mhm.
need to have courage to lead from the front. You have to walk your talk, and you should if you say something then again do something else, it leads to hypocrisy. So avoid that hypocrisy, and uh, stick to your values, stick to your principles, and be courageous, and keep leading front. It's
Mhm.
courage doesn't mean only physically fighting with someone.
Right.
That's one way of thinking, but in military means courage means they think physically fighting. Even I was a military veteran. That's different. So even I was also thinking like that only. But courage doesn't mean that physically fighting with, being very strong and sticking to values and principles, living with values. It matters. It takes the individuals to the highest levels.
Yeah. I think that's hard too, as somebody who, so you have on here, compassion and consideration. And I've always been somebody who wants to make friends.
Mm,
But then at the same time, it's hard to have the courage to walk away from relationships
yeah.
when we care about relationships. And so it is, I've noticed even for myself, right? That giving myself that courage to say, sometimes I'm going to have to walk away from things,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
right? And so yeah, I think courage is shifting for a lot of people, as we go through our own leadership journey.
See, sometimes what we have to do is we have to let go and move on, right? You are
Mhm.
talking about compassion, right? So compassion means when I talk about compassion, the one person who comes, the one person who flashes on my mind is Mother Teresa. She's a symbol of compassion, Mother Teresa, right? So
Mhm.
you talk to character, then again courage. Now you are shifting to compassion. So you are very smart and brilliant, and you are going step by step, sequence wise, chronologically. You are going. It's nice. Even I also teach in that manner. I also respond one after another. So now coming to this compassion. Compassion is good, and we should be kind. We should be kind and compassionate, but at the same time, we should not be exploited by others, right? For instance, toxic people will be there. For example, I was born into a toxic family and grew up in a toxic environment. So, and my father-in-law and brother-in-law, they have backstabbed and betrayed. That was one more problem. And I was born into a toxic family. So these are all the challenges I led. So the best thing to do is to walk away from the relation when you feel that it's problematic, and it doesn't do any good for you, and you lose your peace of mind uh, when you are into toxic family or toxic environment. So when the best thing in my view is that if the things are very toxic, it's better to walk away gracefully, smile and exit peacefully. Let go and move on. This is a philosophy. This is related to compassion. That's what we are talking now.
hmm
Mm.
And so I'm now I feel like I'm jumping around in the book, but or maybe it was even in the article, but I remember you talking about the head, heart, and so a lot of instinct too, right? Is it we start getting into uh, kind of an instinctual leader, right? Is that I feel like that was somewhere where I was reading this. Maybe I'll get to it when I do. But you know where where we start to kind of just know over time that this isn't feeling right, and that we need to listen to those things.
Hmm.
So we have also we have so in the C's we have commitment, um,
Yeah.
and so a lot of these I kind of also I was trying to separate them in my mind. Commitment, consistency, contribution,
Yeah.
and I was thinking about the way that I worked because I was a project manager, vice president of project management at software companies, and we were doing things by objectives. And so let's talk a little bit also about like that consistency and how does that look in today's world when we're talking about potential hybrid models of working, because the new generation and when you wrote this book it was a lot of focus on millennial, but now we actually have Gen A,
Uh,
and and there's a lot of since then we've had a lot of layoff, and COVID, of course, and things like that, where people are really working in a hybrid of I want to work part time, I want to be a
remote,
freelancer, that kind of.
remote, remote.
Yeah. So let's talk about objectives and meeting common goals. And then how do we also create a world of consistency and contribution and commitment and meeting objectives?
Okay,
Yeah, it gets
okay.
complex, right?
Yeah, we will talk one by one. So we will talk about one by one because we'll go systematically and chronologically. So
Okay.
commitment is something, when we promise something, we have to uh, live up to the promise. For instance, you and I, you and I made a promise that we are having an interview at 3 o'clock. I mean, whatever the time zones. So this is the commitment you and I made, and people believe in that commitment, and based on the commitment, based on your commitment and my commitment, people were listening and they are enjoying, right? So we need to have commitment. Usually I don't like the people who back out and do backstab. So
Hmm.
I honor the commitments because I'm from a military background. So I'm very much committed and I stick to my promises. That's one thing. Second thing is consideration. We should have consideration for others, and we have to be mindful about others. Then somehow sees you have told, just please tell me commitment, then consideration, then what are the others? Consistency. Yeah, I'm very consistent by nature. Why? Because I'm consistent and I'm persistent and I'm patient. So consistency means what? Uh, when I say something, it should be same only. I wake up morning at 4 o'clock, and night 10 o'clock I sleep. This is the consistency. This is the circadian rhythm. I have a body clock, then I maintain. So that's the consistency. So whatever I do it. I'm very consistent in my activities. So we need to have consistency. Consistency is key to growth. If you do things in a disorder, then you won't get results. So when you do things in a systematic manner, so you get to you can minimize the distractions, and you can focus on your goals. So best thing is to be consistent and being committed.
Hmm.
So these are all the things. And another point you have asked about this young people and the millennials. I think you are referring to. So could you repeat that question so that I would respond?
Oh, well, we were talking in this book, you have a lot of myths about the millennial, and now I was like, we actually have
Millennial.
the Gen A, and so already we have more and it's not necessarily about the generations, but it is that the workforce itself has changed
Yes,
because
yes. Mm,
yeah,
mm,
with AI and all that, and we
yeah,
know there's so
mm,
much statistically showing us that
yeah,
the future of whether it's hybrid models or people want to work part-time over here and part-time over there, so meeting objectives is going to be very difficult from a commitment standpoint. People don't know how to manage their capacity.
yes,
And so it's not even that they're trying to be
yeah,
flaky. They
yes.
just don't know how to manage their time.
Yes, it's very big. It's
Yeah.
very big challenge
Yeah.
in view of the technology, and especially this young people. Young people means. Let me briefly explain about the generations: baby boomers, Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z. These four generations still they are into workforce, and baby boomers are retiring. Now we have X, Y, Z. Now the challenge is with Y and Z. Y means millennials. Z means centennials. That means the youngest generation. So this young people, they are very impatient. This is the problem, and
Hmm.
young people, especially the centennials, this generation Z, they are very smart and brilliant. They are digital savvy, but they lack patience. Then again, if you look at millennials with Gen X, X, Y means these people millennials. Uh, Again, they are sandwiched between Z and uh, X, so they have different attitude, they have different styles, so there is a gap in various generations between baby boomers, Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z. So we need to create a generational compatibility,
Yep.
so that the work workers, I mean, workers, employees can work, uh, and they can work effectively, and we can get the results. Now, but again, it's a challenge because baby boomers, they are not that much tech savvy. That's a challenge. Then again, Gen X are relatively better than baby boomers. Then Y and Z, they are very tech savvy, and they have their unique mindsets. So then, aligning all these generations is a very big challenge,
Yeah.
and especially this generation Z, that means the youngest generations, Gen Z, is very challenging, and they are very intelligent, but they have their own challenges, and some of the young people have the mental illness. It's very strange that, of course, all generations have health challenges. I mean, mental illness, but this generation yet have more mental
Yeah.
illness challenges. So these are all the challenges we are having from one generation to another
Yeah.
generation. So we have to adjust, cooperate, and we have to lead. That's why I have written one more book, Soft Leadership, Millennials. So that book is yet to be published. That's pending. Okay, so like this, I keep writing various aspects
Yeah.
of workforce, and you are talking about workforce. Some are hybrid, some are remote,
Yes.
some are working in different time zones. So these
Mhm.
are all the challenges, and the best
Yeah.
thing I tell to everyone is that we have to embrace technology, and we have to respect all people,
Hmm.
irrespective of the generation, so that we can lead peacefully and happily, and we can achieve peace and productivity for the organizations.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, my understanding too is that there's actually an emergence of some of the boomer and the older generations coming
Yeah,
back as interns, which is actually really cool because we're so appreciative of the knowledge worker. We're so appreciative of, hey, there's some lessons to be learned that we can't harness because we don't have that experience. And so we have the technology to harness it and we can just record it, we can do whatever, but we don't have that experience over here. And so let's just get you set up and let's harness it. And so I think that's kind of cool if we can start learning to actually work together in a better way and just make it a positive experience. And then everyone can kind of be a little bit more relaxed,
Yeah,
right?
right, rightly said, rightly said. And let me share you in this context. Very long back, Peter Drucker emphasized about knowledge workers.
Hmm.
Very long back. Peter Drucker
Peter Drucker.
advocated various many things, MBO, management by objectives, knowledge workers, parallel careers. So like the so many things. He was a visionary, and he had a he knew what was going to happen and about young people. All these things he mentioned. And this Peter Drucker resonates with people irrespective of the generations, because people are having lot of knowledge, and lots of opportunities are available. So many things are available. So only thing is that the young people, especially Gen Y and Gen Z, should capitalize the opportunities so that they can add value and impact.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity, honestly, for everybody right now. And I think that everybody's feeling it, right? Because there is so much unknown that everyone's trying to figure out, well, where do I fit in?
Yeah,
And I think also just to address the point of mental health, um, there's just a lot of isolation because there has been a lot of breakdown in what we've known traditionally as family structure or whatever, whether it was neighborly structure or whatever structures that we had in place before. Um, a lot of that's just kind of missing. And so we are in a need to connect as people, and that's happening over and over again, and so we're seeking something, and so I'm happy to at least see the acknowledgement starting to revive itself, and that the more of us that do and talk about it openly, as that is definitely your thing, is that we continue to just talk and share information. We just continue to, really make sure that we spread the word. We are not here to try to capitalize off of each other in this moment. We
yeah,
just genuinely want to spread that word, because more people can make it better together. So,
yeah,
um,
rightly said.
yeah, really appreciate it. We've had some comments coming in, and I didn't even keep up, to be honest with you. We'll have to respond to comments after the show. They'll be in. I think most of them are on LinkedIn and hopefully some on YouTube. My parents watched, so we do have other generations that are able to figure out some of this technology, and I so appreciate them being here. We didn't cover the MECA method. So
Uh,
with the 2 or 3 minutes left, would you like to say anything really quick, or to the audience? So
Oh, I yeah, I create methods, models, frameworks, my philosophy, perspectives. So I'm very curious and creative, and I'm an author and researcher. So now I will talk about Mecca's method. So this Mecca's method is about a teaching and training tool I coined. It is related to somewhat to Socrates' method, where we can provoke the audience, or we can provoke the learner by questioning. Then they respond. Then we moderate. Then I add a little more knowledge to the existing responses. This is known as Mecca's method, where you throw a question to me, then I respond to it by adding value and by amplifying the things. That's briefly about Mecca's method. this is one of the methods. This is related to teaching and training, and I mentioned in my soft skills book. And still a lot of research has to be done, but my time is not permitting. But hopefully I'll focus from the perspective of Mecca's method also.
I I'm so inspired that you're just like you're constantly working, not even just on your physical health, but you're I mean,
Yeah, I'm an Indian Air Force veteran, and I have been hitting gym for more than 40 years. You won't
you
believe.
got
Yeah,
you
I'm
don't
very
need to check them
consistent.
out. It's
I'm very
pretty
consistent. I'm very consistent. For 40 years, I'm going to gym. Unfortunately, I had a brain stroke and I collapsed. Now I, I, I bounced back and I am able to walk, but my I can't type with my right hand and I can't eat with my right hand. But still, I'm happy that I survived. Doctors thought that I won't survive after brain stroke in the year 2021. I proved them wrong. Then I survived. Then again, doctors thought that I would be on the bed forever of the brain stroke. Then again, I proved them wrong. Then I bounced back and I started walking. Right.
yeah.
So, so I started walking daily. I go for a walk for 1 to 1.5 hour. So that I'm in Seattle right now in USA. So I'm going for a walk with my wife. And again, when I go to India, then I'll go to gym and do workout. So this is my these are all the things because of because of this activity because of these activities I survived and I bounced back. Otherwise, at the age of 50, if you have brain stroke you can't recover. But at the age of 57 I had a brain stroke, but still I survived and I am walking. So you can imagine why I survived, because the healthy habits that I acquired from Indian Air Force, and I'm an early bird. I wake up at morning 4 o'clock. So my healthy habits, my positive attitude, the power of subconscious helped me to bounce back from all the challenges. So now I'm walking and talking. I'm relatively better than what I was. Otherwise, some before the brain stroke, I was very well. I was an orator, and I published a book on public speaking. So like that, so many things I did.
Hmm.
Fine, I'm happy that I survived, and I'm happy that I'm with you right now.
I'm happy too. I've had a great time and thank you so much. And thank you to the audience that showed up for us and Team Replay, because I know that we're going to have a lot of viewers that are going to watch this again. So appreciate your time and your friendship and just sharing your knowledge with us and your continued inspiration.
Let me share with you. Really, you are very positive, and I think you are from Hungary. I think which country you are from?
My parents are both from Hungary.
Hungary. So I researched about you, and I also liked a lot from your hopes, your articles and contributions. You have beautiful contributions. So, and I did a lot of research. Whenever I do something, I don't speak. I do a lot of research for 3 to 4 days. Continuous. I do research for 3 to 4 days to know about Kinga, then what kind of articles she published, what kind of value addition she has done, everything. I did research and I enjoyed a lot. So I'm very happy that you are adding a lot of value and impacting the people. You are touching the lives of people. So I'm very happy that we are connected, and thanks to the power of universe.
Yes, thank you. Thank you to the power of the universe. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. All right. We're going to say goodbye to our audience.
Okay, thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity. Have
Yeah.
a great day.